If everybody's
Yes, we are good now.
okay. All right. Thank you. So like I said, we have a lot of information we're going to um, put out today. We got Dr. Nang with us. She'll go first, and I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll have that for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll move on to Miss Layi. So please take notes. Lots to learn today. All right, Dr. Nang.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We,
Okay.
we can hear
Good
you, but we
evening.
don't see you. We would
Oh,
love to
yeah,
see you.
because I explained I had an emergency. So I'm actually on transit.
Okay, no
I
problem, no
didn't want
problem.
to miss this. So I had to use my phone. And
Thank you
it's a
so
Yeah.
bit,
much.
yes, please. I had an emergency. So I'll make this brief and I'm hoping we get the best out of the 15 minutes that we're given. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're listening from. My name is Dr. Nneka Enang. I'm an economist and a banker with over 25 years of banking experience, which has been across the retail banking, corporate banking, and specialized business. My career journey has been interesting. I've worked with 4 different financial institutions. I'm here in Nigeria, Lagos, currently heading the corporate banking unit of Premium Trust Bank. I hold a PhD in development economics, and I have masters in business administration and so many other qualifications. But I don't have a time now, so I think I'll go straight into today's um, teaching. So we all know that finance is the lifeblood of any business. And so funding is a very critical aspect of a business. And I'm sure that's why we have chosen to learn today about funding. We're going to see sources of funding. We're going to see the strategies for funding. When you're seeking for funding, what strategies would you adopt? We're going to look at how you can access bank funding, the steps that you need to take to make a good proposal or business plan. I'm going to tell us what the credit risk team that will assess your proposal will be looking out for to be able to accede your request for funding. And we'll look at the critical elements of consideration in any business plan or any business pitch that we're going to give. Finally, I'll take us through the tips for securing funding and also the big one, what disqualifies you from accessing funding? And like I said, within the 15 minutes that we have, I'm going to try to make this very simple. And of course, if you have questions, you can ask me as we go along. Now, for funding, there are different sources of funding. You can get funding from the banks. You can get from venture capitalists. You can get your funding from angel investors. Or sometimes you can also look at getting funding from government agencies as grants. But for all these kind of fundings, there are very critical things that we look out for us to accede to your request. And those are the things we're going to look at as we move on. I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes, we do.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Yes,
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 we
right.
can.
Thank you. So some of the funding strategies that you should adopt is to, one, develop a solid business plan. and a solid business pitch. I will tell us as we go on the things that need to be in your business plan. You also need to build relationship with your investors and the lenders. This is because you need to build trust. They need to know you. They need to believe in what you're doing, and that will help you when you're assessing funds. You also need to explore cheap funding options. I had mentioned some funding options. It's always good for you to look at all of them and know the one that is cheapest for your business. And make sure you have the negotiation skills to negotiate very favorable terms and conditions. Now, we're going to concentrate on bank funding. Like I mentioned earlier, I have worked in different banks for over 25 years, and all the banks look out for the same thing. And I'm sure wherever you are, it's also the things that your bank would look out for. Now, banks are interested in assessing the credit worthiness of the business. They're also interested in checking the viability of your business or your proposal and the profitability. If your business is not profitable, no bank will touch it. For them to do that, they use a framework to evaluate the borrower's credit worthiness. And we have summed it as the 5 C's of credit. I'm sure some of you here would have heard about the 5 C's of credit. The first one is the most important for most of us bankers, and that's character. And in character, what do we look out for? We look out for your credit history. We look out for your payment behavior. If you had been given credit in the past, how did you pay back? Did you default? All those are part of what we look out for under character. We want to be sure that if we fund your business, you have the character to repay the money that you have gotten from us. The second C is capacity. For capacity, we're looking at your ability to repay, and that's where profitability comes in. We're looking at your income and your cash flow. Will your cash flow be able to repay the funds that we're giving you? The third C is capital. What's your own contribution? What's your net worth or your asset or your equity in your business? The fourth one is collateral. So for the funds that you're asking for, what are you willing, what asset are you willing to pledge as a comfort to the bank in case the business does not go as we anticipate? And the last one is conditions. So I'll take it again: character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. For conditions, it means what's the purpose of the loan? And that's where your business plan also comes in. What's the industry trend? This area you want the bank to finance. What's happening in that industry? Is it viable? Is it risky? High risk? Condition also looks at the regulatory environment and the economic environment. Is it the kind of business that after a short period, a regulation might come in and that will affect the business negatively? Once we tick the 5 C's for any request that we're looking at, then it's so easy for us to approve the request. Now, there are certain steps you must take in securing this bank funding. The first one is preparing your business plan. You need to outline your business concept. You need to do your market analysis. You need to put in your financial projections. And also, you need to show the management team. This is so important because We want to see that the people that will manage the funds that we're giving to this business are responsible people that will utilize the funds and make the project grow. The next thing you need to do is you have to determine the exact funding that you need. You don't request for an amount that is more than what you need or lower than what you need. If you ask for an amount that cannot do all that you require to do in that business, then the business will not thrive. And if you overshoot your needs, of course, the analysts will pick it, and that puts a question mark to your credibility. After putting up this business plan, you need to submit your application to the bank or to the funder, and then be prepared to provide additional information, because most times when we start analyzing the request and the business plan, we might need additional information to help us take a decision on the request. Now, the credit risk management of the bank, they're the ones saddled with the responsibility of analyzing your request. And once they are okay with all the information you have given, you'll receive an offer. You're free to negotiate the offer, probably ask for a reduction in the rates and the conditions and all. Once you've agreed with your bank, then the final agreement is given to you. You execute it with all the conditions prerequisite to draw down, and they will give you the funds. So these are just the steps that you take when applying for a loan in the bank. Now, for the credit risk team, there are things they look out for, and I'm going to tell us now. The first one, they will determine the kind of funding that best suits your need, your request. In a bank, there are different kinds of funding. You have the term loans, the overdrafts, lines of credit. It could be cash collateral. It could be invoice discounting, and so on. So when we look at your business plan, we determine the kind of business you want to do. We determine where you need to put in the funds, and then we determine the kind of funds that best suits your request. And business stages also determine the kind of funding that is needed for that business. A startup business might need a different kind of funding from a business in the growth stage, and so on. So this is the responsibility of the credit risk team in the bank, and they will also advise you on the decisions they have taken, and you have the liberty to discuss it, understand it, and make sure you ask all the questions that you need to ask. When they look at your business plan, they want to determine the financials, the financial projections, because this helps them to know if the business is profitable, if the business is sustainable, and if the business is scalable. They look at the cash flow and they look at the debt to equity ratio. They also look at the management team. I mentioned that before. It's very critical. You have to show that you have the capacity to do the business and to sustain and to manage that business. They look at your credit history. Have you been paying back before now? Have you defaulted in any of your loans? And after that, they will just look at the fallback position, which is the collateral or the security, to be sure that in case the business does not go the way we all think it would go, there is also a firm of security for the bank. Now, in a business plan, there are some very critical elements you need to consider. The first one is the executive summary. It has to be like an overview of the business. It will show the value proposition. It should show the growth potential. Again, you need to demonstrate that you understand your target market, that you understand competition in your market, that you also understand the trend of your business. You have to have in your business plan a realistic revenue projection. Your expenses, your cash flow projections must be realistic, like I mentioned before. At this time, I want to find out if I'm still being heard. Is
Yes,
it clear?
loud and clear.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I had mentioned the management team. You should also state the experience of a leadership of your business and their vision. It has to be in your business plan. Again, what are you offering as security? And then your repayment plan. These are the critical elements that should be in your business plan. The executive summary, the market analysis, your revenue projection, the management team, and collateral, then repayments plan. How do you intend to repay the financing? Now, let me give us some tips for securing this funding from the bank. You have to keep it simple. Keep it simple. You don't have to write a 60-page business plan. Make it as simple as possible so that the analysts will have time to read and digest all that you have put in there. Show traction. Highlight the progress you have made. Be very realistic. Practice your pitch. Show passion, commitment, and dedication, because most times people buy your passion, maybe not your product. You need to understand your numbers as well, your financial projections. You need to convince whoever is listening to you that this business is profitable. You have to be transparent about the risks involved in your business. You need to show that you even know the risks inherent in that business, and that you provide mitigants to those risks. Finally, you need to stay focused, persistent, and professional. Even when certain kind of questions are thrown at you, don't let it stop you. Don't let it deter you. Be focused, be persistent, and be professional. Finally, I want to tell us what can disqualify you from getting funding from the bank. The first one, poor credit history or low score or evidence of defaults or high debts. When this is noticed in your proposal, it's possible to disqualify you from getting the funding. Insufficient cash flow, that's inadequate revenue or unstable cash flow, can disqualify you. Lack of collateral or insufficient collateral or unwillingness to provide a form of collateral. Sometimes you could have the kind of collateral that you can provide and you're reluctant or unwilling. So the banker thinks if you're unwilling to provide the security, that says you're not sure of the business you're going into. The next one is high risk profile. It could be that the environment is high risk, or the industry is high risk, or the management of the business are inexperienced. This could be termed as high risk profile, and it may disqualify you from getting funding. Then inaccurate application. Maybe you have some misleading information in your application, or you have stated some unrealistic figures, or you are very limited in providing information for the analyst. They can disqualify you. Finally, regulatory or compliance issues. If you evade tax and we find out, or your company is not well registered, it could lead to you're not being granted the facility that you've asked for. But most importantly, banks are there to give out funds, but they want to make sure that the funds they are giving out comes back, because remember, they're giving you depositors' funds. At this point, I think I've exhausted my time. I don't know if we have questions. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, let's field some questions right now. I see a couple of questions. Let's go, Alua. Alua Toy. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Let's go, Professor Ofemi.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I saw you raise your hand.
Okay.
You have a question?
Yeah, just to get some clarification. It's about the debt profile thing. Now, you said, thank you for the beautiful lecture. I hope you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can. Go ahead, Femi.
Okay. Yeah, it's about the debt profile. When somebody owes and is paying, because I heard you say, I can't remember how you put it, about the debt thing. If one
Yes.
is owing maybe some loans, other loans in the bank, is it that is enough to disqualify you, or is it the volume of loans that you owe, even though you are paying back, that could disqualify you? I want to get it clear.
Oh, okay. So the loan that you're paying back will not disqualify you, so long as you're not defaulting in paying back the loan.
Okay.
And if the new loan that you're getting, all right, your source of income cannot take care of the new loan and the one you're already servicing, then it could be an issue. But if you're comfortably servicing your debts, it's not a problem at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? So give it. Any more questions? Well, what's the biggest mistake you see people do through that review process?
Okay, the biggest mistake is hiding information. So people think by making or putting up a beautiful business plan, that should make them get the facility. And so they leave out some information that is needed. And remember, we do our own search. And so when we do some searches and we find out that you were trying to hide information, the character issue comes up and that might disqualify you. So be very, very clear, be very open. You can't lie to your banker. If you are open, then your bank would even suggest ways of handling whatever issues that you may think you have. So it's good to be very open and very clear.
Okay. Adrian, so you had the question.
Yes. Good evening, madam. Thank you for the lecture. Talking about hiding information, I think I had an experience this year. One of my close friends took a facility with a bank, And in the process of servicing the bank, he got to know that there were some conditions that were not made known to him ab initio. So how can we ensure that all the conditions are laid on the table before we go in for the facility?
Thank you, Adrian. That's a very good question. Now, what I've discovered is a lot of people, because they are anxious to access the funds, they don't read their offer letters. If you read the offer letters, all the conditions are there. If the conditions are not there and you have signed the offer letter and the bank turns back to impose extra or additional conditions, you can sue and you win. So, but what I've discovered is a lot of us jump into signing the offers, accepting it because we really need the funds. And at the end of the day, we don't read the offer letter, the conditions, and when we start paying, we just realize that the conditions are there. So what I would advise, whatever document you're going to sign, please make sure. It might be 2, 3, 4 pages, but please make sure you read them. If you ask your friend to check his offer letter, it's possible those conditions were there and he didn't see them before he accepted the offer. But a bank going back to add conditions, then you win them in any law court. You can even send a message to your central bank and you win. Thank you.
I got a question from the chat. It says from Mr. Alemu, what are the criteria to apply for a loan for a new enterprise?
Okay, for a new enterprise is nothing different from what I have stated. Of course, your business plan has to clearly state what the business is all about, and you have to really justify that you can, because it's a startup, you're just beginning, you have to really convince us that you have taken care of all the risk factors and you have mitigants for those risks. And once we are convinced that you also have a good management team that have experience, then we go ahead. But it's the same thing we look out for. We check for the 5 C's of credit. And once they are okay, once we think okay, then we're good.
Awesome. Looks like we don't have any more questions this time. Thanks so much, Dr. Nneka, for making time to come talk to us today. Hopefully you guys took as many notes as I did. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much, Victor. I'm gonna send in the slide. I couldn't do that now. I'll send it
Okay.
in. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I'll share the slide deck with everyone once I get it. All right. Now we are going to move on to another second speaker, and I'll let him introduce himself as well, and then we'll move forward talking about the practical side of business, how we can implement now that we've formed a business plan. Hopefully we have some funding. How do we execute on that business plan? Let's see if.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Victor and Professor Siri, for having me. Just a second, let me share my screen. Just a second, please. Just a second. Looking for my PowerPoint presentation so I can share. Everyone can see. Okay, in the meanwhile, while I do that, I think I should start by introducing myself once again. My name is Layi Matthew, and I'm an alumni of both the Osiri University and also an alumni of the Lions Roar. I pitched on the platform of Lions Roar before. It was an exciting one. That was some 4 or 5 years ago. I had to do my pitch in 2 languages. I did it both in English language and in my local dialect, Yoruba. I think Dr. Victor shared that with you. I don't know if you did. It was interesting, and it was a pivotal experience for me. So today, for the sake of today's presentation, I would like to be known as a startup enthusiast. Just a second, I don't know why my PowerPoint is not popping up to be shared. Okay, let me try and share the entire screen if that is not working.
Yeah, we see your screen now.
Can you see you can see my PowerPoint presentation now? Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Like I said, my name is Layi Matthew, and today I want to be known as a startup enthusiast. I've been active in entrepreneurship almost all my life. I started my first business out of secondary school in Nigeria, and I've not looked back since then. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so to speak. In the startup space, as it is called, I have played as a startup founder multiple times. I have been a startup coach, and I'm happy I have some successes under my belt. Been able to help a few startups get started, and some to raise finance, quite a number to raise finance. I do know that this year I raised some funding from Premium Trust Bank. So when I saw Dr. Enang, it was interesting for one of my clients, and it was a bit of a big ticket transaction, and it was a startup. Yes, at the moment, I'm also working on launching my first VC fund to be based in Delaware in the United States as well. And I look forward to that. And yes, I'm always happy talking to startup founders or intending founders or founders I want to move from one state to the other, whether you want to move from the pre-seed to the seed or to the growth stages. I'm always happy to be a part of it. So thank you very much for having me. And today we're going to be discussing business execution for early stage founders. And that's moving from a business plan to a real market traction. That's very, very important, because one of the things I found is that too many aspiring founders spend too much time planning. Many people end up finding themselves in what is called the analysis that leads to paralysis, because they keep planning, they keep refining their business plan, they keep refining their business pitch, keep changing the messaging, keep changing the branding, keep changing the colors, and they never take the most important step. The most important step is to start. The most important step is to start. No startup started out perfectly. None, absolutely none. None that is successful, none that we read their stories today, none of them started perfectly. In fact, some of them actually started out doing something else, ended up doing something else. Examples, I learned the Nokia company started out as an agricultural firm. They kept on switching, they kept on pivoting into another business model until they are what they are today. The founder of the light bulb was said to have failed several times. In the process of failing, he actually invented a few other things in the process of trying to invent the incandescent light bulb. So it's perfect not to be perfect when you are starting out. And what makes the difference is execution. I know there are some people whom I can say that they have PhD degrees in getting ready to start. Because every time I'm just getting ready to start, once I raise some money, once I meet this person, once I meet this milestone, and they just keep shifting the goalpost, and they never do the most important thing, which is to start. I understand that for your class, you have done business plans, you have done your business.
Am I the only one that lost?
Yeah, we lost the
Yeah,
we
we
can't
are
hear you
lost.
now.
Yeah, me too lost.
Your audio went away.
Not yet. No, we can't hear you.
Maybe consider leaving and rejoining. Nope, we can't hear you still.
Yeah, it's not today, will it?
That's very strange. No, we can't. We can hear each other here, but we cannot hear you for some reason. So it must be from maybe your end. Is really strange. Hmm. We still cannot hear you. Hmm. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me
Yes,
now.
we can.
Let me speak
No, it's
directly.
okay now.
Okay. So sorry, I will not use my earpiece. I hope some of the noise and the surrounding will not affect, will not disturb the presentation. Let me just put on my screen back once again. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
You can see my screen. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I need to try and block out the noise again and see if it's still clear. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go on now. Yeah, so 3 reasons why execution always wins. Number 1, great ideas fail without execution. So just execute, it's important. Even if you're not the first to work on that idea, just execute. Another thing is that investors fund traction, not intention. Just like I said, some persons have PhD degrees in intention, but nobody funds intentions. Only traction is funded. And I can give you examples. There's scarcely any startup you will find that was funded without any form of traction, no matter how little that traction is. There are some exceptional cases. Maybe if the company probably has another intention. For instance, I understand that Instagram was acquired for over $1 billion US even before it had its first paying customer. The reason was that Facebook, as it was called then, which is Meta now, that acquired it, needed to ensure that there was going to be no competitor in its space. That's the reason why it acquired it for that much, even though it was a pre-revenue company as at that point. However, everybody is looking for some kind of traction. Traction proves to an investor that what you are building is going to get users on it. One of the biggest exits that came out of Africa is a fintech company in Nigeria that is called Paystack, that was acquired by the global payment giant. When they secured their first investment, and they were admitted into one of the biggest accelerators in the world, then they had just 2 users, just 2. So investors are interested in your traction, no matter how. So they're not interested as much in your beautiful business plans. If you ask Dr. Enang, some persons have excellent business plans, and there are 1,001 excellent business plans with nobody having time to read them. In fact, some of the times, for those of us who are early stage founders, sometimes we are even holding back to share our ideas with possible investors. We say, oh, they can steal my idea. Oh, someone can plagiarize what I've done. Let me tell you what. When you are talking to serious investors, they see 1,001 opportunities every day. They don't have the time to steal anybody's idea. So get started, no matter how imperfect your idea is. And the number 3 thing is that planning gives direction, but execution is the one that delivers the results. So execution wins every time. It is the invisible engine behind every company. It is the invisible engine behind every business. I want to say that one of the things that has made Apple one of the biggest companies that has ever been built in the world is execution. You will actually find that in the case of Apple, Apple is the category king in every industry where it plays. However, it is never the first entrant into that space. Apple was not the first company to make decide with iPod. There was a Walkman before iPod. When they started the iPhone, there were other people in the smartphone space. When they started MacBook, there were other people in the laptop business space. When they started, what else are they into? Just for everyone, they started the iWatch. There were other companies already in the digital watch space. What separates Apple from almost every other company is that it executes. It executes on its plans. So execution. So let me move on quickly. What investors really look for in your pitch, or what they look for in your company, or what they look for in you as the startup founder before they invest is that, number 1, you have paying customers and you have a clear revenue model. You have a clear revenue model. Number 2 is that you have an evidence of sustainable demand, that people will continue to come for your products. And they also want to be sure, even though we are in a world of disruptions today, that you are on the cutting edge of technology you are willing to easily pivot. Should there be any new technology or something else that wants to take out what you are doing? Number 3 is that they look for the founder's execution capacity. How do they know that? They want to know what you have done before. You might not be starting a business, but what have you done before that shows that you have the capacity for execution? And that's why you will see that in our world today, most businesses are co-founded because we have different giftings. We are all wired in different ways. For instance, I as a person, I'm an ideas person. I am not primarily an execution person. So for some of the businesses that I want to found, I want to get a co-founder who is going to be the chief operating officer, someone who is more into operations, while I can preserve where I'm a genius at, defining the strategy, defining the vision, providing leadership. The next is that they want to be sure that you're going to be financially disciplined when money is released to you. Another thing that is important, they want to see a clear path to profitability, or that you have an exit strategy. Because trust me, not every business has been set up for profitability in the way that you think about it. I'll give an example. I started an online store over 10 years back. When I started my online store in my city, I live in Abuja in Nigeria, it was the same time the other big e-commerce companies were starting. Then Jumia and Konga were starting, and they were just in Lagos. I was starting and I was in another city. However, my own e-commerce company died. A few things I did not understand were that those companies were not set up to hit profitability the way I was thinking about profitability. They were only thinking about scaling. They raised a lot of money and they wanted to scale, wanted to increase number of users, wanted to increase number of visits, wanted to increase visibility. In a short while, one of them, after he had received funding close to $100 million, exited, just sold the company at a loss to another owner. The other one exited by listing in the US stock exchange. It is still not profitable till date. So you need to either have a clear path to profitability, or you have an exit strategy that your investors can see. So I'm going to be talking about the 6 pillars of business execution today. 6 pillars. The first one is focus. And we are going to be defining a 90-day clarity plan, which I expect you to go and work on. A 90-day clarity plan. Number 2 is you need to have a go-to-market strategy. Number 3 is your branding. You must be branded for trust. Number 4 is marketing for demand. Number 5 is sales for revenue. And number 6 is financial discipline. These 6 pillars we're going to be defining in the short time that I have. I forgot to find out how many minutes I have, so that I don't just keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking. I think you should have enough time to go through the 6 pillars.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a good feedback that you are listening to me. So pillar 1 is focus and the 90-day clarity plan. So I need you to focus on some things today. Number 1, focus on one core project, on one core product. That's develop one product. Your startup idea might have many products in the plan or in your vision. You're going to have this product or that product. And I've looked at some of the pitches or some of the business ideas of some of you. Some are in the agri space, some are in the green tech space. You plan to have a plethora of products, but first of all, focus on one core product. Amazon started by selling only books. Today, Amazon sells everything. Amazon owns AWS. Amazon owns what else? Direct to TV and a whole lot of things. But it started with just one core product. Number 2, define one target customer group. Not as a single person, but a target customer group. Who am I targeting? Who will buy my products? Where do they stay? Where do they hang out? Are they male? Are they female? You know, just define your target customer group. Number 3 is define one revenue stream. Define one revenue stream. There can be multiple, but define just one. And the next one is have a 90-day traction goal. What do you want to achieve in the next 90 days? What do you want to achieve in the next 90 days? This is very, very important. So focus. Focus. Don't diversify too early. Google is still known as the king of search, isn't it? But Google is into so many things. They are into wearables. Google is into, they are now Google devices. And Google has several things, of course, you know, into AI, the Gemini AI, etc. So what you should do at this stage, just focus on one. So have a focus for the first 90 days. One of the things you need to know is that focus creates blindness. Focus creates blindness. You focus on one thing and you are blind to every other thing at this stage. You know, I like to do a simple example when I'm talking about focus. So for instance, how many eyes do you have? We all have a pair of eyes, isn't it? But if I raise, what am I raising now? Can someone help me with an answer?
One hand, one finger.
One finger. But you have two eyes. Why are you not seeing two fingers? The reason why you're not seeing two fingers is on this call, but we all can see a single finger. That's focus. So focus creates blindness. At this stage of your business, I want you to go and do this 90-day clarity plan. That's pillar number one. And here are the questions I need to answer. Number one, who will pay you first? Number two, how many customers do you hope to have in the next 90 days? Number three, how much money or how much revenue do you want to have in the next 90 days? And number four, what must exist by month 3? So if you are doing a tech product, for instance, what must you have? Well, do you need to have an MVP that you can show? If you are in the agri space, do you have to have developed the first products that is well branded, that is well packaged? So decide on those things. So that's the first pillar: clarity, focus. I'll go to pillar 2, which is the go-to-market strategy. Go-to-market strategy. Now, this is very, very important. You need to know how you want to get to the market. And there are different kinds of strategies that different people use. So you need to know your target customers, like I said in the previous slide, or in pillar 1. Number 2, you need to define an urgent problem that your target customers want solved. You know, before, when people are starting businesses, what they do is they create a product and then they start marketing and start pushing people to come and buy their products. In the world that we are in today, you will go and get what people's problem is. Then you create a product to solve that problem. That's how to build a sustainable business in the world that we live in now. So you need to look at what problem do people have? What urgent problem do they need solved? It is true that sometimes we don't know that we have some kinds of problems. And then some people are able to create products for people that people don't know existed. For instance, when the automobile was created, people did not realize that they can move faster from location to location. But when the product was created, wow, wonderful, it was adopted. When Google was creating the search engine, or Google was not the first search engine, but when the first search engines were created, people did not realize that they had the problem of search. When you were searching for something, maybe you went to the library and you go and look through the shelves to look for a book. that has the solution that you are looking for. But then some persons created that, okay, what if you can create this on this new technology called internet that has been created? So people create products for problems that we did not know that we had. For instance, when AI came into being, we did not realize that we had that problem. But suddenly, all of us now have adopted it. However, if you cannot create solutions for problems that people don't know they have yet, create solutions for problems that people already know that they have. So what problem are you solving? The next is your distribution channel. You will notice one thing, I'm not sure, during your business planning class, probably before your business planning class, the business model canvas was administered to you. Am I correct? Am I correct? Can anybody help me?
Correct.
Anybody
correct.
to help me? Correct. Good. Now, you would see that most of these things that I'm pulling out, you can pull them out directly from your business model canvas if you did your business model canvas genuinely. If you took time to think through your idea and fill in your business model canvas, you can pick out some of these answers from there. And that's why I believe the business model canvas is something that you need to keep refining. I actually like to stick the business model canvas to a wall and go back there and fill in new information as new ideas pop up in my head. So the next thing that you need to do for the go-to-market strategy is your distribution channel. How will people get my product? Is it online? Do I have to deliver to their doorstep? Do they have to come to my physical store? Do they have to download my application? Is it a B2B product where I need to get to businesses? The next thing you need to decide for your go-to-market strategy is your pricing. How do you price your products in such a way that, number one, you're not pricing yourself out of the market, and number two, that you are not also undervaluing the solution that you are bringing to the market. That's important. So for your go-to-market strategy, you need to answer each of these questions. The final one is the conversion process, the process that makes people to make the final buy decision, the final download that app decision, the final put in my credit card details decision. What is your conversion process like? So define your go-to-market strategy. Underneath that slide, you see I put a simple go-to-market execution model there. I said, number one, where do your customers hang out? Where do your customers hang out? So somebody is doing a climate tech solution. If that person decides to go and be selling his climate tech solution in where now? Probably in a building material market. Nobody's looking for climate tech in that place. So you need to be where your customers are going to find you. You need to be where your customers are going to find you. Number two, how do they currently solve this particular problem that you are solving? How do they solve it today? That's a customer, how do I call it? That's a competitor analysis exercise. Who are your competitors? Mark my word, there is nobody that does not have a competitor. Never say you don't have a competition. No. If you bring your idea to me to fund and you have not identified a competitor, you have not started. So everybody has a competitor. Do you know there was a time that Pepsi Cola was giving Coca-Cola a run for its money? Coca-Cola did everything, but Pepsi Cola kept giving it a run for its money. How was Coca-Cola able to win? Coca-Cola was able to define his competitors correctly. He discovered that Pepsi Cola was not his competitor. Every drink that exists was its competitor. Whether it be tea, it be coffee, whether it be Fanta, Coke, whether it be Pepsi Cola, even water. It was at that point that Coca-Cola realized, it was at that point that Coca-Cola was then able to beat Pepsi Cola. And today, Coca-Cola is known all over the world. All over the world. Coca-Cola is the most popular word that is known. There is no community you go to in the world that you don't see Coca-Cola. And number three is when you realize how they currently solve the problem, you then answer the question, why should they switch from how they currently solve this problem to the solution that I'm bringing on the table, to the product that I'm bringing on the table. So is it that your product is sweeter? If it's probably an agri product, is it that your solution is faster? Is it that it is cheaper? Is it that it is more efficient? So answer these questions. And once you can answer these questions, if you put those answers together, you have a go-to-market strategy. Let's go on to pillar 3. Pillar 3 is branding. Branding goes beyond the logo. Branding goes beyond the color that you have picked. Branding, you need to develop a brand that people can trust, like the Coke brand. It's one of the best brands in the world. A brand that people can trust. It includes a clear message, a consistent identity. I know some persons, if you see Coca-Cola and any other cola, if you pour it in different cups, they can pick out Coca-Cola. Why? Consistent identity. If they can't pick it out, once they taste it, even though they are all colas, they know the difference. Because if it is not Coca-Cola, it cannot be Coca-Cola, you know. So consistent identity, then you have to be easy to recommend, meaning you must stand out. You must stand out. Easy to recognize. That's why many people pick a particular color for their branding, or they look a particular way. And then you should also have strong credibility signals. Do not let anything negative to be associated with your brand. It doesn't mean that negative things will not happen. But when negative things happen, be quick to come out, to take ownership, apologize if there is need, and make amends and make sure that whatever wants to tarnish your brand name does not successfully do it. So that's number 3 for me. Number 4, the 4th pillar is marketing. Marketing that creates demand. Marketing that creates demand. And intentionally, I did not put maybe the 4 P's of marketing and some of those things. I am talking about what is relevant to us today. WhatsApp business, I put it out separately because it is very, very important, even though it is also a social media. It's a part of the social media group. It's a social medium. But WhatsApp business is very, very important for small businesses like yours. The same for using social media to market. You need to decide where your customers hang out. I sell professional services. My customers are not on Facebook. My customers are not even on Twitter. My customers are on LinkedIn. My customers are not on Instagram. My customers are not on TikTok. For some other persons, that's where their customers are. So decide, know where your customers are, and know how to use that social media platform perfectly well to attract your customers. So for some of us, the kind of activation that we need is physical. So you might need to do community outreach, physical community outreach, for people to see your products, to see your solution. Another easy way is partnerships, relevant partnerships. Some of these things you answered it already in your business model canvas. Have relevant partnerships that will help your business, so that you can leverage on somebody else, leverage on the visibility that another product or another service has already achieved. There was a Big Brother Africa at one point, which was getting into several homes across Africa. There was a particular company that needed to get people to know their products. What they did was that they went to sponsor that program. The revenue they made within that period was more than enough to pay to defray the costs of their sponsorship of that program. So you can look at partnerships. Partnerships are another cheap way of getting your product known as much as possible. I also talked about physical activation. So what are some metrics that you should look at? Or what are some things that you need to do, especially if you use social media? You need to work on daily visibility. You need to do weekly engagements. You need to ensure that there are monthly conversions. So these things, you can track them. That way, you are able to know how effective your marketing campaign is. That's why you see that many companies now, for first-time customers or for first-time users of their product, they ask, how did you hear about us? They want to know which of their marketing campaigns is generating the best results. That leads me to number 2. What is the cost of converting a customer? So what's the cost per lead? What's the cost of converting a customer? It might be a little bit high, especially at the start, but what you need to ensure is that you have a high retention. It doesn't make sense that for every customer that you bring, you have to spend money to bring that customer. It has to be that when I have gotten this customer, that customer remains with me for a long time. So that the customer lifetime value of each person that you have acquired is high. Is high because it is higher to keep getting the first customer. It is very much easier to keep a customer that is already in-house. In fact, you can keep them free of charge if you continue to give them good product, good service. So customer acquisition cost, you need to track it. What did it cost me to acquire this customer? They are very, very important. Pillar number 5 is sales. Many of the times we confuse marketing with sales, but sales is the act of closing the deal. Sale is the act of making your customer pay you money. Is the act of making your customer sign up. Is the act of making your customer sign that deal. That's sales. The actual act of closing the deal. I used to be very weak in this. So I had to spend time to find how I could learn how to close my deals. So sales is a little bit different. While marketing, you talk of things like marketing, and like it is said, when you have a business and you are not advertising, you are not marketing, it's just like a man who is winking at a beautiful lady in the dark. The person that is winking knows he's winking, but nobody is seeing the wink, you know. So stop winking in the dark. But beyond winking in the dark, close the deal. So founders must sell first. Every successful founder, actually, one of their first roles was that of sales. So you cannot afford to be shy of your products. When people meet you, within 1 minute, let them know what you are selling. Let them know your product. Let them know your service. So you need to work on having daily customer conversions. It might be tough at the beginning, but you need to push it. Then you need to have a systematic follow-up system. There are many tech solutions for this today. There are email campaigns that can follow up for you. There are different channels that you can use. There are different platforms that have automated this, and you can almost use it for almost any industry that you are in. And like I said earlier, you need to focus on repeat buyers. Focus on keeping those who are inside. Focus on keeping them happy. That way, you can reduce what you are spending on customer acquisition. And that leads to what some people call the word of mouth marketing. I understand, and I cannot confirm that totally, that Elon Musk doesn't do the regular kind of marketing that most companies do. So their spend on marketing is always zero. And I looked at it truly. I'm not sure I've seen a Tesla advertisement before. Maybe I've seen, what's his internet product called? I think I've seen the advertisement of that, but I don't think it's directly from his company. I don't think it is. So I then did here a sales funnel cycle. A sales funnel cycle. The sales funnel cycle, if you can see my mouse, it starts from generating leads. Yeah. After you generate a lead, I want to target this customer. The next thing that happens is that You then get into a conversation with the person. Talk about your product, talk about your service, and then let that lead the person to say, I want to hear more, or tell me more. Then you can give the person a proposal, written or digital or verbal. And then that proposal, that person is likely to have some objections. And at this point, you try as much as possible to solve all the objections, to explain what is not understood. And then that takes you to the next thing. You try and close the deal. That's the sale, actually. You try and close the deal. And then after you have closed the deal, you repeat the process again. Get new leads. However, if you have closed the deal, it's important to keep that customer, to focus on repeat buyers, just like we have said. Pillar number 6 is financial discipline. Pillar number 6 of the discipline of execution. Number 1 is separate your business finance from your personal finance. I read a book some years ago. I think it's that book is titled by Robert G. Allen. It's titled Multiple Streams of Income. I cannot forget how he described this. He said you should put your business money separately from your personal money, and you should put a concrete fence in between them such that the monies never mix. They never mix. If the business has money and you don't have money as the founder and you need money, you can borrow money from the business, but you borrowed the money, you did not take it. You must ensure to pay it back when you have money. If the business does not have money and you have money, you can borrow the business money or you can increase your stake in the business. But like it is in law, the fiduciary relationship with our companies ensure that financially you are separate. Financial discipline, separate yourself from your money. I also said track cash daily, control expense, know your break-even points. How many products do I have to sell till I become profitable? How much revenue target should I hit? What is my cost of sale per unit? You need to note all of these things. They are very, very important. So know the numbers of your business. Even if you don't know accounting or you don't like numbers, you must know these ones. One easy way to do this, if it's difficult for you, there are many tools online. There are free tools online. There are free apps that you can use. If you are good at using Microsoft Excel, you can use it. But if all of that is difficult for you, you can write. Get a notebook for your business. Get a simple notebook for your business. Open it in one place, write income. In another page, write expenses. Go and put dates. Put the income there. Go to expenses, put date, put it there. If you don't know how to analyze this, just have it like that. One day you will find an accountant, give it to the accountant to analyze. The accountant is going to analyze it for you. If that is difficult for you, take your phone, snap it, put it on any of our popular AI, put it on ChatGPT, put it on any of the AI. They are going to analyze your financial statement for you and give you something that you can work with. Life is much more easier now. And so I said there are 3 cash flow priorities that you need to note. Number 1 is that revenue is not profits. Don't take your profit up front. Especially when you take a loan, don't say, okay, I'm taking a loan of $5,000. When I put it into this business, in 3 months, I'm going to make a profit of $2,000. So because of that, let me take $1,000 out of the $5,000 loan now to use for my personal, because it's after it's going to generate $2,000, isn't it? That's not the way to do it. That money has to generate what it needs to generate first of all. So separate them. Know that revenue is not profits. Number 2, know that profit is not necessarily cash. It is not every time that profit is cash. And number 3, cash flow is the survival blood of any business. When you run out of cash, you are bankrupt. That's the death of the business. So ensure that there is consistent cash flow. I didn't talk about this earlier. Reinvest wisely. It is December. Somebody has a business, he has made $5,000 in profits this year and then wants to go and enjoy himself for Christmas with all the 5,000. No, you probably need to pay yourself maybe like 10% of it as profits that you take home and reinvest 4,500 into the business. That's how the business can grow. If you eat all your profits, you are eating the future of the business. The business will remain small. And trust me, small businesses are small businesses. They die after some time. You must scale. You must grow big. Those are the 6 pillars. But let me give you a few bonuses and then I can round up. I think I want to round up in about 7 minutes as much as possible. So this is a test for you to know if you are ready to pitch. So I said pitch execution readiness. Number 1, who is paying you today? Do you have a paying customer? If you don't have, go and get one before your pitch, before you stand on the Lion's Roar virtual stage. Number 2, how is money flowing to you? How is your money flowing? Do you understand it? Money coming in, money going out. Number 3, what traction exists? It doesn't matter how simple. It doesn't matter how small. How many people are using your product? How many people are already trying your products? Number 3, how will the funds you get be used? Number 4, what impact will new funding cost? Now you are looking for XYZ amount of dollars more. When you get it, will it increase your customer base? Will it increase your revenue? Will it increase your profitability? Will you be able to bring a product to market? Will you be able to make your product better? You must be able to answer that question. Number 3, how will growth that you achieve as a result of that new funding, how will it be managed? I'll give you an example. When Twitter was founded, now I've forgotten the name of one of the co-founders of Twitter. After they were receiving funding, he was managing the accounts of the business on his laptop. He was doing the financial management for himself. No, not for a business that was going to become a unicorn. No, the investors had to tell him at some point, that guy, maybe you have to step aside. You are an ideas person. Keep working on the idea. Let those who can execute, those who know how to run a business, let them run this business. You have created the product, fine, step aside. That's why you would find that the co-founders of Google, 2 of them, at some point when they were going to take their company public, they had to change their role from being co-founder, CEO, and CEO. They had to get a CEO, a different CEO who understood how to execute the process of taking a company public. At some point, they had to change the role of that person. He became the chairman of the board, and then they appointed another CEO. They just remained as co-founders. Can you see that till today, they are still the principal shareholders in the business? I think a few weeks back, the 2 of them are now the 2nd and the 3rd richest according to the Forbes list. That's because they have executed perfectly. They have executed the idea that they incubated as just PhD students inside the garage. Now I've taken them to the point where they are almost $500 billion rich individually. Common execution and pitch mistakes. When you say too many stories and no numbers, you want to hear the numbers. Break your business down to numbers. We can easily understand the numbers. Number 2, big projections and no customers. So your projection must be, we have what we call the total addressable market. For instance, if somebody says, I'm into food production, I live in Nigeria, and then they say, what's your market size? And everybody says, there are 230 million Nigerians. That's my market size. Or someone says, there are 1 billion Africans. That's my market size. No, you don't know your total addressable market yet. So you need to break it down to the total addressable market size. You need to have numbers, you need to have customers. Then when you also have a confusing revenue logic, make it as simple as possible. And then I have a quick challenge for you. 14-day execution challenge. Have 5 prospects. Have 2 paying customers. Have a simple sales tracker. And then do your 90-day execution roadmap. That's a 14-day execution challenge that I'm giving to you. If you do these things, your business is ready to go live. My final message: ideas will get you and applause. Execution can even get you funding, but it is only results that build companies. Thank you very much. I hope I did not bore you within this short time. So, open to questions. And the additions as well. I know Prof. Osi will be able to help me to answer many of the things or say some of the things I did not say properly.
Oh no, you got this. You got this covered. Thank you so much. I learned a lot from this. Very informative and motivated. Mr.
Thank you
Vic.
very much.
Thank you. This was great. I see we have a lot of assignments. So if you can share your deck, and I'll share with everyone. We talked about the pitch execution readiness test, the 90-day execution assignment, and the 14-day execution challenge, which all will be great for everybody here to do. So thanks again. Do we have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to say, I mean, I was just imagining if we all could go back and put to practice what we have heard today. I mean, if we could just take this seriously, even if by 10%, take it seriously by 10% and put it to practice, try to get one customer, take our own vision seriously. I mean, imagine the kind of community we will have here. I mean, I'm really enthralled and inspired by what I just heard. And imagine if people came back and shared what they are doing. I mean, this community would be unstoppable. So anyway, thank you very much. I think someone raised their hand. Victor, back to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Adrian, you raise your hand. Go ahead.
Good evening, Layi, and thank you for the lecture. I just have a concern. I had earlier went into a production startup, producing tissue paper, this polythene bags for market people use in packaging. They call it packaging. Yeah, but introducing the tissue paper into the market, we had an issue that really forced us out. And that issue was the wholesalers were demanding that we bring down our price, for them to push the product into the market. We managed to keep our flow for about 1 year, 3 months, but because of that, the capital was going down. So how can someone in this kind of scenario overcome such? Because even when we shut down, even as I'm talking to you, people still are asking us, when are you coming up again? We like your product and all that.
Okay, thank you. Are we taking more questions so we can answer them together, or should I try and answer this first one?
Go for it. Answer.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so Adrian, thanks for that question.
Oh no, we can't hear you anymore.
Oh, we lost you again here.
No, oh my goodness. We still can't hear you.
We lost you.
Okay, you want to go and come back? Okay. That was a good question. one of the things I just my thought would be to sometimes you have a good product, but the marketing channel may not be the one for you. So you're talking about using distributors, middlemen who are also trying to extract profit, and they can mess you up, right? Anyway, so he's back. Let's see what he says. Go ahead. Let's try again. We still can't hear you. Oh man.
He's in mute. You're in mute.
Okay.
Layi.
Am I on now?
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, it's my interconnected devices. Once you call something on my phone, it's affecting the screen. Yeah, so I'm a proponent for the lean startup methodology. So if I had the opportunity, you remember one of the things I said is that before we started businesses, not even checking who wants to buy our products. Many of the time we create the products, then we are looking for buyers. It's better for us to look for the market gap, first of all, before we create our products. And it is better to do a lean startup methodology. I have had to shut down a number of businesses I've started as well. Now, how do I mean? Probably you've created an excellent product, which is better than what is in the market. Now, what you are being told is that your price point is higher. So instead of setting up the full chain of production, I would have advised rather that you actually tested the market first. You created a few of them and go to the wholesalers to test the products. Do you like this product? Would you be willing to push it into the market? This is likely going to be my price point. Is it going to work? Get that kind of feedback before you invest heavily into it, rather than going to invest heavily. Like someone just thinking, oh, people don't ride bicycle to work in my city. I think if I start a bicycle rental business, it's going to be it's going to blow. Let me use that local parlance. Now the person goes ahead to acquire 100 bicycles, only to discover that the people in your community are not interested in riding bicycles to work because they feel they'll be ruffled by the time they get to work. The way to have done it was to have purchased 1 or 2 bicycles first of all, and get people to ride it, maybe free of charge, to work and feel the market. And let people start saying, you bought a bicycle, that's why you're riding to work. And then the person says, you still cannot hear me? Can you hear me?
No, we hear you.
We're hearing you.
Okay, someone typed in the group that so
That
now,
might be a
so the way
late
to do it
message.
is to say, okay. So someone might think the way to do it might have been to probably acquire maximum 5 bicycles and give it to 2-3 people, ride it to work, and then have the feedback, know that okay, this is going to be acceptable before I invest heavily to purchase 100 bicycles. So now that you are in the market, see, it's not all businesses that you need to persevere at. For some of them, you might need to shut it down, and sometimes it is better to shut down early. Well, when you notice that your burn rate was higher than you could acquire, or that you could stomach, like you said, you shut it down. But then now people are now asking you again, we love your product, when are you going to bring it back? So what you need to go and do now is that you need to go and do a research that you can break down into numbers. How much is it going to cost you to produce each unit of your products? The people who are asking you for it, what's their capacity? What can they distribute? And based on the price point you are going to be producing, will it make sense for you to go into that venture again? Or do you need to produce massively for you to bring down the marginal cost? Do you have the capacity to do that now? However, let me add something to it. If you're not going back into the business again, there is something we call in the startup world that we call it pivots. There is something, or there are things that you have learned from that business. What you need to do is to take out that lesson, or take out that product, or take out that solution and apply it to another business venture, so that all the lessons from that business does not go to waste. I don't know if I'm making sense. so that all the blessings, all the lessons that you learned in that, all the customers that you learned does not go to waste. You then take that solution and you infuse it into a new business idea. If you are building a tech solution, for instance, before you spend money on employing all the techies and all the coders, you probably develop a single homepage and define the solution, your value proposition, and then push it out to people, and then check if there are people who are looking for that solution, who are willing to pay for that solution before you start investing heavily to start your development and all of that. That's the way I'm going to answer that. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It does, it does, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we had another question. Wen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was a very insightful session. So I would like to say thank you for the reflections and the insights shared so far. It was just close to the ground, and that makes lots of sense for us. So thank you so much. So I was thinking about my own business while you address those major pillars, and I also accept the challenge that you mentioned, and thank you also for the specific challenge. My question is just to know something based on your own previous experience, specifically running the businesses. So one of the issues that I need to hear from you is, in the case of a startup, especially, as we all know, those founders or startup owners are in charge of overseeing all hustles at the same time. There are many things at their plate. So we know that the reality and the fact. So based on your experience from those 6 major pillars, which pillar needs to be addressed first as a priority? Because we need to bring a cash to the table to survive at the end of the day. So since you said we need to see and we need to address those things, which is true and I agree with, but we need to have some sort of priority, I guess. So based on your own journey so far in the business, just I need to hear your reflection on this specific point. So where we need to focus in the first place so that we can bring something to the table and to expand our own business. Because one of the issue that I consider now as my mistake was we were more obsessed about the product, the futures and the like. I ran a tech business before 2-3 years, basically. So I just need to hear your reflections from your journey so far, and thank you so much, sir.
You are muted. You are on mute. You are still on mute. No, okay. No, you are on mute. Oh, he left. Okay. He was just there to click. Okay. I think he likes going out and coming back in.
Okay.
You must like okay, welcome back.
Yeah, I saw an error sign on the mic, so I guess that was it. Yeah, so I would say you actually answered the question. Which one should you focus on? I would say it's number 1, focus. Number 1 of it is focus and 90-day clarity. First of all, go and get clarity. You see, as startup founders, and I've been in your shoes a number of times, you have to do so much. For instance, when you get into capital raise mode, you are likely to abandon the product mode that you have been in, and that you almost totally forget about the business. That's why there is a lot of wisdom in having a co-founder in your business, so that you can share the burden. Trust me, it's not an easy thing being a startup founder. It's not an easy thing raising finance for your startup idea. It's a lot of work, especially in the world that we live in now, with Donald Trump in the White House, with you living in Africa. It's tougher. So the first thing I would say is have clarity. That's the most important one. Have clarity. And when I talked about that pillar, I said develop one core product define one target customer group, define one revenue stream, and define a 90-day traction goal. Basically, you need to keep moving forward. It's important that you keep moving forward, but keep moving forward productively. So focus, I think, is the first thing. If you can focus, you have clarity of the entire journey. If you can focus, you have an insight into your go-to-market strategy already. If you can focus, you know what you need to do for your branding. If you can focus, you know how to spend money and energy on marketing and sales. If you can focus, you know you will know if, for instance, you have gaps in financial management and you need to either hire somebody or you need to find a co-founder to manage it. But the good thing, we have some of us now, we have AI co-founders. AI can do so much. That's the truth. So you can use AI and some automation tools to help you to do some of the many things that you need to do that you probably don't have the finance to do now. So look for the right technology, look for the right solutions that can help you to do those things while you wait to be able to get the persons to do it. For instance, for me as a person, I have not fired my lawyers, but AI does a better job for me reviewing my agreements than lawyers do. That's the truth. That's savings of more than 95% of what I would have paid a lawyer to review my agreements. AI can do probably better accounting than many accountants can do if you know how to deploy it, if you know how to use its strengths. I am not saying that when you need to bring such persons on the team, when your company grows enough to have such persons on the team, even if you want them to use AI to solve those solutions, to do those tasks, you should not do it. But now when you are still a solopreneur, you are still alone in the business, leverage as much technology, leverage as much AI as you can. That's what I would say. So my number one would be focus.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
All right, I got a question. We have some founders here focused on NGOs, nonprofits, and also consulting businesses, right?
Okay.
How would you advise them to strategize, going into such ventures?
Okay, thank you. So I have an NGO which I run with my wife. It's called Hero Plus Foundation. I have a consulting business which I run. It's called Hero Plus. Let me pick them one after the other. So I want to give you an assignment to go and study the business model of OpenAI. OpenAI started out as a not-for-profit organization. And at some point, they realized that it was an error. And they wanted to flip their business model to become a for-profit organization. I don't know if they have been successful in that, but there are pending court cases from people like Elon Musk who doesn't want them to tweak their business model, because it started as open. It started as a not-for-profit organization. I also fault that business model in my little business understanding, because all the other giant tech companies have their not-for-profits or their NGOs on the side. You need to make the money that you will use to do the social activities. Bill Gates today, who was probably the richest man in the world for the longest period of time, made his money from his company, Microsoft, and he's still making the money from the Microsoft. He has pulled out and he has focused on his NGO full time. But what is funding that NGO is the money that is making from its business. I'm not discouraging anyone who has started an NGO, but I prefer that you start something that can primarily fund your NGO from your own pocket, should you not be able to raise grants to fund your social projects. So don't get me wrong, but I think that's important. However, if you are funding an NGO, you need to ensure that it is sustainable. And if you run out of cash, you might have to shut down. So ensure that what you are doing is sustainable. Now we have what we call impact funding. We have people who say they are social entrepreneurs, but then we have impact funding. Impact funding measures the impact.
Yeah, we'll lose him again. We lost him.
You hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. I think I found the solution. Yeah. So it's important that you find a way to sustainably fund what you are doing. Probably pitch some companies that are doing well and tell them your CSR activities, why don't we execute it for you through our foundation? That's important because if you run out of cash, then you also run out of life. So for those in social enterprise, ensure that what you are doing is sustainable. Ensure that it's able to generate enough revenue to keep it afloat and to keep it alive. Not just that every time you need life, you are looking for how to raise funding from different sources. For those into consulting, what I would say is that you need to know how to price your knowledge. You need to know how to price your knowledge. Many of the times, Africans do not want to pay for consulting services. Yes, I've been there. They think you're advising, why should I pay you just for an advice? I can also get advice for someone else or from somewhere else. That's where such things as branding, branding for trust comes into play. So you need to have a track record of success stories. Have a track record of success stories. One of the strategies that I used in consulting when I started was this. I offered some pro bono services, but I did not brand it as pro bono. So let's say, for instance, I want to do a business plan for someone that's going to cost $1,000. I want to charge $1,000. And then my client says, oh no, I cannot pay you $1,000. I can pay you $300. But I need the job. And I know that $1,000 is the value of what I'm doing. So what I say is, okay, the fee is still $1,000. I will give you $700 discount. I'll do the job for you. Now, I'll do a good job. When the person is telling somebody else about how he got his job done and how much it cost him, it doesn't tell him that I did it for $300. I said, I did it for $1,000. If you like, you can go ahead and say I got 700, I got 70% discount. When the new person comes, that promo is over. So for those of us in consulting, you need to know how to price your knowledge properly. And so you need to attract the right clientele. There are some people, what I've learned in my consulting journey is that there are some clients who don't want cheap consultants. If your price range is below a certain threshold, their belief is that you cannot give them a good job. So that's important. I think that's really what I can share at this point for those who are doing consulting. But depending on the kind of consulting, I mean, you can look at getting retainers, look at doing some pro bono jobs like I did. In fact, you can start out by doing 100% discount. Yeah, I know some speakers, and I've also tried it before. When I was trying to build my speaking career, I requested to speak in some organizations. I gave them my fee, and I told them I was giving them a 100% discount. And when I got there, I ensured that I delivered value. And then they called me back. And then they understood where I should be appropriately priced. You understand me? You understand where my pricing is supposed to be. I hope that makes some sense.
Yes, it does. Any more questions, guys? I think that's it. Thanks so much again for making time to join us today. It's been definitely a great discussion. Again, I'll send you guys the presentation once I receive it. The two presentations once I receive those. And then, like Dr. Siri mentioned, please go do the assignments. Do the assignments, not just for us, but for yourself, for your business, and execute on those assignments. Definitely, this is really exciting. So thanks to our speakers, and thank you guys for making time to join us. So, yep, that's all we have for you today.
Thank you. Thank you all. Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, everyone. Thank you so much.